So, the Switch 2 is officially, by the general standards of the modern tech industry, a thing that's coming vaguely soon, and the conclusion most people have drawn from what we've seen so far is that it's basically just the Switch 1, but more powerful, and now you can snap the controllers off like it's a fucking Kit Kat. And no bad thing, say I. I hate trying to line up those little slidey tracks the Switch 1 Joy-Cons slot into, all the while accidentally pressing buttons so it keeps bleeping and blooping at me when I just want it to turn off. I'm glad it's more powerful. I certainly got the sense from the way Tears of the Kingdom struggled with its frame rate that we were about due for an upgrade. Should we be disappointed that it's just an upgraded Switch 1? Fuck no. I'd have been disappointed if they'd done any more. Historically, Nintendo has had a bad habit of trying to fix what ain't broke where their hardware is concerned, and I just don't think there's much room for improvement, and plenty of ways they could fuck it up. If at least one aspect of our lives is staying in the nice, comfortable, stable status quo, we should be bloody well grateful. Hardware gimmicks are a sign of a juvenile industry, in my opinion, like when movies dabble in 3D or smell-o-vision. None of that matters when it comes to what's important, providing a means of conveying the story to the audience. Jurassic Park would not be improved if you could smell the T-Rex's farts. Well, let's not make too blanket a statement, I don't know what you roll into. Let's say instead that you can enjoy Jurassic Park as a film perfectly well without needing to smell the T-Rex's farts. In other words, it's the games that count, and as long as Nintendo retains the Switch's strong third-party support and commitment to indie games, I don't see any reason to worry on that front. But what about the showstoppers, Nintendo's big releases, for those who partake? Well, those are cards Nintendo seem to be holding close to their chest so far. We don't know much beyond that they're doing another Mario Kart. Speaking of things with very little room for improvement, some noted that in the footage, certain characters had been slightly redesigned to be more in line with how they looked in the Mario movie. A fairly neutral observation, but one that nonetheless left a bad taste in my mouth. I don't like it when video games and movies cozy up. I know relations have improved in recent years, the kids certainly seem to like those Sonic movies, and I'm probably still slightly traumatized from the 90s, but as someone who loves video games and doesn't watch movies, I don't believe video games gain much out of this deal. Aping movies has always held video games back. It's like watching your kid hanging out with another kid who used to bully them. You try to give the benefit of the doubt, but you can't help worrying this is all going to end in tears. And that's officially the full extent of everything we know about the Switch 2 that's worth talking about at time of writing. Nothing left to do but fill the remaining time with speculation. Moony-eyed, middle-distance, staring, gentle stroking of the front of the trousers guesswork. To that end, I would like to share two of my predictions for what Nintendo might do next with their first-party franchises such as Mario. In fact, both of them relate to Mario, let's not be coy. As for if these are things I genuinely think Nintendo is going to do, or merely things I think they should do, a little of column star, a little of column mushroom. Prediction number 1. The next tentpole Super Mario game will be open world. I want to be clear on what I mean by tentpole here. There are a million Mario games covering the entire gameplay spectrum, from RPGs to tennis, but the core Super Mario series consists of a sequence of platform games that expand in scope with each new installment. That sequence consists of Super Mario Bros., Mario 2, Mario 3, Mario World, Yoshi's Island, Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, Mario Galaxy, Galaxy 2, and finally Mario Odyssey. What I'm talking about here is the follow-up to Mario Odyssey, and no, Mario Wonder doesn't count. Mario Wonder occupies the secondary thread of Mario platformers that I call Nostalgia Mario, games that don't try to expand the scope of the formula but merely repackage the established gameplay. So Wonder, the new Super Mario series, Mario 3D World, Mario Maker, that all goes there, on a little branch coming off the tentpole. So why do I think Odyssey 2... don't call it Odyssey 2. Inevitably I think of the Magnavox Odyssey 2, and it brings up all those childhood nightmares featuring the Munchkin box art. Call it something like Mario Universe or Mario Infinity. It hardly fucking matters. Why do I think whatever it's called will be, or at least would be well advised to be, open world? Because Nintendo has done about every imaginable thing one could do in preparation for making an open world Mario and now only need to pull the trigger. Mario Odyssey was a pretty long way towards being open world already. All the individual lands you go to are basically mini sandboxes, almost literally in the case of the desert world. The only thing left to do is remove the seams and stitch all the mini sandboxes together. So if you fall down a bottomless pit in the icy mountain zone, you just wind up in Cambodian jungle zone or whatever. On top of that, Nintendo already dipped a toe in Mario Open Worlds with Bowser's Fury, the pack-in bonus for the 3D World Switch port. That definitely had stealth pilot vibes. Zelda's already had 2 full-on go-anywhere sandboxes, and Sonic's had one as well, in the form of Sonic Frontiers. The proofs of concept are there, and surely there is no world in which Nintendo will tolerate Sonic having something over Mario for long. So the Mario Open World has got to happen sooner or later. Question is, what would be the new central gameplay gimmick? That's tougher to speculate on. I don't think any of us predicted Mario Odyssey's gimmick, Mario turning into a fucking brain-eating parasite. For want of a random prediction, they already did the magic hat, so I think next it'll be magic overalls that can transform into any of the suits from previous Mario games, like the frog suit or raccoon suit, that offer different movement abilities. And there'll be 2 big cartoon eyes on it right over Mario's bollocks. Prediction number 2. There will be a 3D Mario Maker. Mario Maker was one of the few success stories from the Wii U. It was capitalizing on the desire to make our own classic Mario levels that has been served by numerous shoddy ROM hacking tools over the years. The sequel, Mario Maker 2, didn't do much more than port the whole concept to the Switch, and since that's a leap that can't be made a second time, a third Mario Maker game would need a pretty significant shift to draw the eyeballs. So considering that the earliest 3D Marios are now easily old enough to be benefiting from the same nostalgia that sustained Mario Maker 1, Mario Maker 3D seems like a logical next step. My colleagues think I'm out on more of a limb with this one. After all, Mario Maker's strength was being easy and intuitive to use, and working in 3D space instead of 2D makes things exponentially more complicated, in accordance with the square cube law. Dreams on the PS4 helped teach us what a huge pain in the arse it is 3D modeling with a game controller. Well, there have been unsubstantiated rumors that Nintendo are thinking about some kind of mouse support for the Switch 2, which would help, but my thinking is, we're not asking for a full-on 3D modeling and programming suite here, just something you can use to make Mario levels. And to that end, why not just make it grid-based, where you place all terrain in the form of tessellating cubes? The kids these days have played enough Minecraft to be able to pick that up pretty easily. Add a little simple pathfinding system for moving and rotating platforms, drop Mario in with his standard Mario 64 control suite, and bam! We can easily make no end of isolated platforming challenges like the floodless levels from Mario Sunshine, and then smash them all up with a big hammer to finally get proxy revenge on the floodless levels from Mario Sunshine. And there's one more thing to be said for the idea, that if they do make another Mario Maker, it would be called Mario Maker 3. And what better opportunity to go 3D than when there's already a 3 in the name? Clearly it's an idea whose time has come. I mean, this is exactly what the Jason movies did, and don't tell me you're above that.
This video is brought to you by Dark Dice, the award-winning live-play horror D&D podcast produced by the folks at Fool and Scholar Productions. Take the improvisational storytelling you love from Adventurers Nigh and blanket it with a dark and foreboding atmosphere featuring award-winning sound design and music from legendary composers. And then layer in a mix of first-time players, including the likes of Brundlefly himself, Jeff Goldblum. And what you have is Dark Dice. Do you seek humor? The short 30 to 45 minute episodes keep the tension high and the thrills coming. Each season is a new self-contained story, such as Domain of the Nameless God, which follows a handful of adventurers trying to track down a town's missing children, all while having to deal with a doppelganger that's infiltrated the group, slowly taking them out one by one. So what are you waiting for? Dim the lights, turn up the volume, and begin your Dark Dice adventures today. Available for free on YouTube or your podcast service of choice.